Have you ever heard footsteps behind you? When is the alley completely empty? Melbourne, where culture, fashion, and art intertwine, is also a city of houses no one has moved into. Streets always echoing with footsteps at midnight, and memories that belong to no one yet still roam. Today, you will explore the 10 most chilling places in Melbourne, where the past not only leaves traces, but also leaves itself behind. 1. Old Melbourne Gaol, where last words still resound. As the sun sets behind Melbourne's central buildings, one place preserves sounds from the past: Old Melbourne Jail. Built in the 1840s, this prison held and executed over 130 inmates, including the infamous Ned Kelly. Today, it is a museum. But according to both visitors and staff, not everything inside the prison has departed. A tour guide recounted, "I was turning off the lights in Wing A when the iron door at the end of the hall closed on its own. No wind, no one touched it. And I swear, immediately after was the sound of shackles dragging across the floor." Many visitors describe feeling eyes watching them through the small window of the solitary confinement cells, though all the cells were empty. Some said their cameras worked fine outside, but when raised to take pictures inside the cells, the screens went completely black. Another story tells of a student on a night tour. She firmly claimed to have seen a man in an old waistcoat with a high collar standing inside the execution chamber. But when staff returned to check, there was no one. Only a cold stone plaque bearing the year of execution, 1880. Locals don't call this place a museum. They call it the house of those who didn't get to say their last words. 2. Princess Theatre, the ghost who still watches the unfinished show. On Spring Street, illuminated by brilliant lights, Princess Theatre is an icon of arts and history, but also home to one of Melbourne's most famous ghosts, the actor who never took his final bow. In 1888, renowned opera singer Frederick Baker, stage name Frederici, collapsed from a heart attack right after the last act of Faust. The strange thing? The audience cheered wildly, seeing him come out to take a bow, nodding and smiling. But on stage, he was already dead. Since then, seat E23 downstairs is often left empty during performances because numerous actors and crew affirm that Frederici still sits there, silent, intent. A female singer recounted feeling a hand on her shoulder in the dressing room, but when she turned, no one was there. That hand was cold and as if wishing me luck. A lighting technician said that whenever they prepared for the final scene, the stage lights always flickered once, like a silent signal, and the audience sometimes glimpses someone stepping out from backstage, but never returning. 3. Hosier Lane, the alley where art and memories collide. Hosier Lane, Melbourne's emblematic street art destination, attracts thousands of visitors annually. But when the streetlights flick on and the crowds leave, the alley is not truly empty. Many artists who have worked here late at night say they hear quiet footsteps behind them. But when they turn, there's no one, and the air is utterly still. A graffiti artist shared, "I was painting when I heard a whisper, singing along to the music in my headphones. But I was wearing headphones without external speakers, and the voice was my own." Cafe windows along the street are often photographed to create reflection effects. Yet some pictures shared online show a faint human shadow standing in the alley, while the photo itself shows no one. Most peculiarly, many people say that early every morning, strange words appear on the wall, not painted, not chalked, as though someone wrote with mist. You can paint over the wall, but not over what happened here. You have just walked past streets where time still bears the footprints of the past. But next, We will enter buildings no longer in use, yet still lit each night, echoing with footsteps on non-existent floors, and with bookings that are never confirmed. Because some places do not need people to function, memories are unwilling to leave. 4. The Queen Victoria Market. The market built on an old cemetery. Queen Victoria Market. Melbourne's bustling and iconic marketplace draws thousands daily. But beneath its ground lies a little-known truth. It was once the city's first cemetery. Nearly 10,000 graves rest beneath this land, and not all were relocated. A night shift worker recounted. At 2:17 a.m., the lights in the vegetable stalls turned fully on, not flickering, just bright. I went down to check, and the lights went off. No one was there, but the floor was wet as if someone had just walked through. A security camera once captured a figure gliding past the meat counter after closing, but when reviewed, no image appeared. The footage only played once. A stall owner says sometimes they hear someone calling their name from the empty aisles, and that voice is that of his mother, who passed more than 10 years ago. A small plaque near the west entrance, once the cemetery gate, reads, "History lives on, even when no one tells the tale." 5. RMIT University. Building 13, the floor, where no one sleeps well. RMIT, one of Melbourne's most prestigious universities, has a building all students and staff know the name of, but rarely mention. Building 13. Once a colonial-era mental hospital, it is now an academic building. But supernatural occurrences happen so often that no one questions anymore. A student said, "I was studying in class when I heard rapid knocking on the next room's door, but that room was empty. When I opened it, the light flickered, then went completely out." The night security guard reports that the third floor of Building 13 often records movement, though no one registers entering or leaving. A surveillance camera caught a shadow darting down the hallway, moving against the light. One classroom is never used, room 317. Though locked tightly, every night at 11 o'clock p.m., the lights turn on, and the curtains open by themselves. A professor who stayed late once left a single line in an email to colleagues. "I was not the last to leave the dark room tonight, but I was the only one who went in." 6. Hotel Windsor. Luxury cannot block memory. Hotel Windsor, an old and prestigious hotel on Spring Street, has hosted politicians, royalty, and celebrities. But there is one room never openly rented, room 310. A former guest shared, "On the first night, I heard footsteps circling my bed. The second night, the bathroom mirror fogged up, but I hadn't showered. The third night, I left." Housekeeping staff assert the mirror in room 310 is always fogged, even when the room is empty. Once, after wiping the mirror, a phrase appeared in the thin mist. "You're not supposed to see me." Even stranger, bookings made through apps never assign guests to room 310, even when available. Only direct bookings accidentally get placed there. When asked why, a front desk employee simply said, "Some memories are too vivid. No need for anyone to tell them." 7. North Melbourne Meat Market. The sound of metal in the night. Once the city's major meat market in the 19th century, North Melbourne Meat Market is now an art center, performance space, and craft fair venue, all aglow with lights and lively events. But late at night, the sound of falling metal echoes on the floor, just like when it was a slaughterhouse. A dancer recounted, "We rehearsed until 10 p.m. When we left, I clearly heard a knife blade clanging on the butcher's table. I turned around, just a yellow light, but that sound kept repeating like a heartbeat." This strange noise usually happens at the same time every month, on the new moon. Cameras have recorded many metallic clattering sounds, but no unusual images. Locals sometimes see a faint red light escaping from an upper floor window where meat was once hung. But renovation maps show that the floor no longer exists. Some say art lives there, but it seems the memory of blood and flesh has not gone anywhere. In some buildings, you can walk out after entering, but in some places, when you leave, you are no longer the same. The final part will take you to places reflecting what you'd rather not see, capturing images you don't remember leaving, and where the past touches you once, but forever. 8. The Block Arcade. When mirrors don't reflect the present. Located on Collins Street, the Block Arcade is a classic shopping arcade boasting ornate Victorian architecture. But after 6 p.m., when the shops close, it ceases to be a shopper's haven, becoming the hallway of shadows that do not reflect light. Security staff say, "When I patrol, I always see a figure walking behind me in the mirror near the east exit. But when I turn around, the corridor is empty, and that figure remains in the mirror for a few seconds longer." Nighttime visitors sometimes photograph inside the arcade. One popular supernatural forum photo shows a woman in a high-collared black dress standing center frame, while the photographer insists no one else was there at the time. Notably, near a clock shop corner, many people feel time slow down, though their wristwatches keep ticking. They stand still, then jump in surprise, thinking only 2 minutes passed, when in fact over 15 minutes have gone by. Faintly engraved on an old tiled wall is the phrase, "Reflections may not reflect you back." 9. Trobe's Cottage. The house still breathes. Its first owner. Trobe's Cottage was home to Charles Trobe, the first superintendent of Victoria. Although the original house was dismantled and rebuilt, many say what remains intact isn't stone or brick, but its presence. A caretaker said, "Every night at 11 p.m., the living room window flies open, even though I locked it tight during the day, and there's a faint smell of burning wood in the breeze, as if the fireplace still smolders." Visitors say they feel watched by Trobe's portrait in the dining room. Some even claim the eyes in the painting shift direction when they pass by. A volunteer cleaner shared, "I put a chair back at the table, but when I looked away and back, there was an extra chair, identical, but wasn't there before." The house seems small and quiet, but legend says it's never truly retired, because Victoria's first master still receives guests in silence. 10. Dights Falls, where water reflects more than the sky. In Abbotsford, Dights Falls is a popular spot for picnics, kayaking, and walking. But on quiet nights, the water tells a different tale. A kayaker near the waterfall shared, "I heard someone calling my name, clearly, but no one was around me, and the voice came from beneath the water." A group of young friends' cameras kept malfunctioning when taking photos here. 4 people, 4 different cameras. All pictures were blurry, noisy, or failed to save. Except one. A group shot with 6 figures, even though only 5 were there. Locals say this area saw a string of drownings in the 1930s with no explanation. The cases were neglected, not investigated, and no one remembers the names of the dead. Tonight, if you stand near the water, pay attention to whether the waves carry a familiar melody. Because if you hear your name, perhaps you have been called home. 10 places, 10 fragments of memory, and countless footsteps, no longer belonging to the present. From prisons to theaters, from untimely reflections in mirrors to waterfalls whispering your name, Melbourne is not just a city of art and culture, but a city where the past has never agreed to rest. Which place gave you the most chills? Have you ever been to Melbourne and felt you weren't truly alone? Share your experience below. And if you want us to explore another city next, Brisbane, Hobart, or some ghost town not even on GPS? Leave a comment, because the places no one wants to remember are the ones that never forget you.